And welcome into the MLB Hot Stove Daily here at the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Appreciate you guys joining us late on a Monday evening. My apologies for the late start tonight anyway. Had to do a little bit of first aid after smashing my foot pretty good just before getting on the air, but everything is fine and we're all good. And let's get into some trade talk, shall we? We finally see a few more deals come to fruition. Danny Jansen goes from the Rays to the Brewers, giving them a nice backup catcher there behind Contreras. We also see Chris Paddock go from the Twins to the Tigers, giving them some depth there. He hasn't pitched well over the past 5-6 outings that he's gone out there. I think he's given up 7 or 8 home runs in that span. His ERA around 7.5. But the Tigers' pitching hasn't fared much better. This gives them more of a depth option more than anything else. Spot starter instead of having to call up some guys to fill some holes in the next couple of weeks here. But the Tigers, I think this is kind of a small option to steady their relief core, I guess is the best way you could put it. Not having to overuse their relievers as they go down the stretch here. I think that's why they ultimately make the move. The final move we see is the Atlanta Braves just looking for anybody who's ever thrown a pitch in Major League Baseball that can actually take a start and be able to get a few outs for them. That's what they did for Eric Fetty. That's what they did for Carlos Carrasco today. For a player to be named later or cash considerations, you can go ahead and guarantee it's going to be cash considerations. Both of these guys are not going to be on the roster next year, but they're mainly there to get outs here until the end of the season. And if so doing, they turn around their track record and turn it into parlay this into a deal next season, so be it. But the Braves aren't looking to compete this year. So those are the 3 deals we did see. We are seeing more and more and more rumors around the Chicago Cubs pushing for Mackenzie Gore. Now, there was some hesitation by some on the national side that were worried about them being too left-handed in their starting staff. And while that is a concern, sure, they just need an ace, period. They need somebody who has a high ability in that starting rotation. Imanaga and Boyd are great as far as a 1-2 punch right now, but neither one of them are a game 1 starter. Mackenzie Gore, I'm not sure he is that this year. He's got a 3.5 ERA. I think Boyd probably right now takes it in game 1 or game 2, somewhere in there. But Gore right now is going to be their ace. He's the guy they're going to look to because he's got the most potential. He's got the best stuff. And I think he's just young, a little bit green around the gills. And so getting him now will work even better going into next year and the following year. But they need an ace at the front of this rotation. Gore would be that ace for them. That still doesn't mean they're going to stop there, though. I still think they're going to bring in another veteran, somebody who can certainly take the ball in game 1 with postseason experience, somebody like a Merrill Kelly, a Zach Gallen, somebody along those lines. Dylan Cease comes to mind as well. Did not have a great start against the Mets today. Vida, welcome in. Dirk, appreciate you joining us once again. Drop a like, absolutely. Late stream, love it. It is a late stream. We used to do these all the time, start around 11 o'clock and then go till about 12:30. So kind of paying homage to those days. Okay. Let's see here. Sorry, watching the Rangers game on one TV. Got a couple other scores going as well. The big news of the day has to be the Cleveland Guardians and Emmanuel Clase, though. He kind of has gotten swooped up into the betting scandal that's going on with the Guardians. Luis Ortiz and that investigation ultimately provided enough evidence that Emmanuel Clase was also going to have to be shut down. Now, obviously, this is a much bigger story, than just the trade deadline, obviously. Betting on baseball, never going to be allowed, etc., etc. All those things we all know about. And I'm kind of surprised that it took this long to come to that decision. If he was a part of this thing, you had this information that you were at least, I'm sure they had this information at some point over the last couple of weeks while they've been investigating Luis Ortiz. Why do you wait this long if you're going to eventually suspend Clase, if there's enough evidence there? Are you just verifying the evidence? Well, that's the process for Luis Ortiz right now. If you're verifying the evidence, you put him on the commissioner's exempt list. If there's enough evidence to go ahead and say, hey, this is serious enough for us to warrant putting you on the suspended list with pay. And a little bit surprised it took him this long. Now, as far as those of us baseball fans that just care about what's on the field, look at Clase for the moment. He's one of the elite closers in the game, if not the best closer in the game over the past 3 seasons. With him going off of the market now, being placed on the commissioner's exempt list through the end of August, you ain't trading for him right now. That means prices of closers just went up today. So, sorry for everybody looking for an elite option at the back end of their bullpen. Dodgers, Phillies, Mets, pretty much anybody that's in contention right now is looking at those guys. Mariners as well. Rangers are looking for a closer. The prices for the closers that you might have been targeting, even if you weren't after Class A, the price of poker just went up. So, sucks. And honestly, I think it's actually going to be a bit of a deterrent for trades here at the deadline. I think some of those deals that might have been closer to fruition for a closer are now going to, go back to the drawing board as they try to recalibrate the value of a closer right now in this market. So Class A goes off the board. Horrible news, of course, for the betting side of it, but the trade deadline fans of all of us, we just don't want to see it right now because that just means prices are going to go up, trades are going to go down for that specific reason. To think about all the trades that the Royals won't be making part of, true. I think the Royals are pretty much going to stand pat here. Did Jonah just get another flare hit into center? He did. Interesting. 6-4, Rangers trying to hang close out there in Anaheim. I think they're ultimately going to fall short, though. DeGrom gave up 5 runs in that game, his worst start of the year. Now we know why Class A sucked in October. I don't know about that, Nando. Cleveland season is done. I would agree there. I think that you take Class A off the board, the best thing you could hope for is that MLB just basically issues an apology saying, sorry, Class A, we shouldn't have scooped you up. And that's, what you hope for if you're the Guardians, because you want to have the guy back for October. Short of that, there was a good chance the Guardians wouldn't have sold Class A anyway at the deadline. Who knows what kind of ability he's going to have coming back once he's returned from the exempt list, if he returns from the exempt list. But I think that's, rose-colored glasses if you're a Guardians fan. I think the reality is you're probably not going to have Class A the rest of the season. There's a good chance Luis Ortiz and Emmanuel Clase's careers are likely over if they're actually scooped up in that betting scandal. And this wouldn't be the first big scandal around Emmanuel Clase. This would now be the second one. His first one was PEDs that cost him a suspension. So buyer beware if he ultimately does come back from the commissioner's exempt list in some capacity. This is not the first time he's been in hot water with Major League Baseball. All right, Vida, Giants should deal Rogers and Doval. They could make out like bandits. Doval, I think with the prices of closers being so high, they could do really well with trading him now. But we shall see. MG and Grant have acquired Emmanuel Clase. That's pretty funny. I mean, he's got to make his money somehow. I don't understand why these baseball players do it. Back in the day with the White Sox scandal and, all that kind of, or the Black Sox scandal, I guess you could call it, I understand why they did it back then. The money wasn't there for the players back then. But nowadays, you're risking let's just say you're a minor league guy called up to the big leagues. You're making what, $775,000 as a first-year rookie? What are you doing? To make $50,000 extra on the side? You're risking an entire career for $50,000? Let's say you do really high. Say you get $100,000 from the gambling community. What are you doing? It just doesn't make sense. Like, somebody needs to get to these players and say, look, I get it's exciting. I get we have FanDuel. I get we have DraftKings. But at a certain point, you got to look and say, hey, I'm getting paid all these X number of millions of dollars versus this, hey, the thrill of the gamble. Like, what are we doing? Come on, man. Somebody needs to educate these young players, and honestly, all players at this point. I can understand Luis Ortiz. I mean, he's a young player. He's not making a whole lot of money yet, but yet, even with his small salary, he's still making so much more than he would make gambling right now. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, let's get into some of the trade talk tonight. I know you guys are really excited to see what's going to happen here over the next few days. We've seen hardly anything happen as far as any big trades so far, and there's going to be a few. And one bit of news as well. Eugenio Suarez was hit by a pitch again for the second time in the past 3 weeks. He was also hit in the All-Star game as well. He was hit in the hand. He was immediately removed from the game, went for x-rays. Really love what Terry Lovello said for the Arizona Diamondbacks, their manager, basically saying that, yes, the Diamondbacks and about a half dozen other teams were holding their breath as far as the results of the x-rays. And Eugenio Suarez came out after the game and spoke with reporters saying the x-rays came back negative. Good news. But at this point, if you're the Diamondbacks, are you playing him even one more game? Are you even pinch hitting or allowing him to pinch hit late in a game in a big at-bat, no matter what the opportunity is? or do you just sit on your hands and just say, hey, Eugenio, pack up your suitcase, go ahead and go home, say goodbye or say your goodbyes to the team, and go ahead and pack it up. We'll get you somewhere to a competitive team somewhere, and you'll be traded before the deadline. Do you end up doing that here after yet another injury scare for Eugenio Suarez? I mean, how many times can a guy get hit in the hand in a few weeks here? All right, let's see here. Very curious what Morton's value is. Raymond, he is at -3. We can check in on his value again. Cubby Knoll, assuming Gino's cleared to play, I wonder how much that reduces his trade costs. Would assume he'd still have to sit a few games or reselling that matters for teams in tight races. A few games, sure, but the X-rays coming back negative tells me he's not going to need an IL stint. He might need just the 3 games that he would need up until the trade deadline anyway, and then the swelling goes down. And then Friday, he takes the field for his new team and just goes out there like it was planned originally. We also put out a video as well about Aroldis Chapman, that he did get hurt in a game, like you do mention there, Nando. I would say that the back spasms that he was having for the Red Sox anyway against the Dodgers yesterday, they strike me more as an old age kind of a thing. We just saw the same thing with Nathan Eovaldi. Maybe he avoids an IL stint, maybe not. But either way, I think he'll be back relatively soon. I don't think this is a debilitating injury at all. And I don't think they necessarily need to go out there and add a closer, especially with prices being so high. Middle relief, I think they should still go out there and add somebody, a Brock Stewart, somebody along those lines. In that Paddock deal, Randy Dobnak also went to the Tigers in that deal. Would assume he'd still have to wait for the game. No. Okay. Heel, I heard these are the major players for Suarez: Phillies, Cubs, Reds, Tigers, Astros, Mariners, and Blue Jays. If I were to put those teams in order of most likely to least likely, I'd put Cubs 1, Mariners 2. I'm tempted to put the Tigers 3 because they are playing against Detroit right now. They might not let him leave the city. I'll go ahead and put Detroit 3, Reds 4, Phillies 5, 6. No. Cubs, Mariners, Tigers, Reds, Blue Jays, Phillies, Astros. In that order. Suarez isn't playing again before the deadline. There's no way. I agree with you there. Drop a like, people. Thank you, Vida. Appreciate that. Got about 35 of you guys with us right now. I just want to say thank you guys for everybody who showed out for our lives that we did yesterday. We had a lot of fun yesterday. That was one of the few times where it's not been on a trade deadline day or during the winter meetings that we've had over 75 people at one time in our stream. And you know how we got there? It's because all you guys dropping those likes, those of you interacting in our chat, the hearts in the chat as well. It really does help out our channel quite a bit. The super chats you donated as well really helped drive people to the channel and really made it for a very fun video. We had a lot of fun last night. I think we were live for 3 hours in the afternoon. We did, I believe, a 4-hour live in the evening. We covered both the American League and National League teams. Did a whole bunch of trades as far as what we would do in their spot at the deadline. So if you guys missed it last night, I really encourage you guys to check out that video. And those who did send those super chats, I just want to say hats off to you guys for helping us out. Supporting the channel goes a long way. There are not words enough to describe how much that goes to supporting our channel and making this a lot more fun for me to do. Because the more you guys interact, the more you guys like, subscribe, and enjoy the content. I did catch quite a few of the nice comments you guys left for me on the videos I made for you guys today. I really do appreciate the positivity and support this community has provided. And trade deadline is a lot of fun to cover, and you guys make it that much more fun by being able to interact with all of you guys about it. So thank you guys for making this so much fun, and let's get into some trade talk, shall we? Which players do you think have a 100% chance of being dealt? Eugenio Suarez, top of the list. I'd probably say Merrill Kelly gets traded for sure. Non-Diamondbacks players, I would probably say Mitch Keller, I'd put at 100%. Bednar, I'd put at 100%. I think there's a good chance, even a great chance, that Duran moves. I'm not sure about Jax. I'm still 65-35 that he gets traded, but we shall see. I think Cabrera does get moved. I put that one about a 95% chance he gets moved. Don't discriminate against the Astros. Come on. Well, I just don't think the Astros are necessarily going to go after Suarez. I think he'd be a nice get. I think with Paredes' injury really opens up the door for him. But I think they're still looking for other pieces first rather than a third baseman. Steve S., welcome in. Still hope the Cubs get Willie Castro. I think he's probably the top utility player that's on the market right now. I'm honestly curious to see how the Twins ultimately use him in a trade. Do they package him to complete a bigger trade? Do they trade him on his own because he's got really good value all by himself? It's going to be an interesting trade for the Twins there. You want to see the guy on the Rangers? Look him up, Michael. He's available in the 27 draft. I think his name is Rentaro Sasaki. Renjifo hits one to the wall, but not out. We go to the ninth, 6-4. Angels in front of the Rangers. Rangers win streak is on the line. It'll be Seager, Semien, and Garcia. And we're going to get into the Jock Peterson dilemma for the Rangers here in just a minute as well. All right. I don't think the Astros will get Suarez either. Zach Gallen for sure getting traded. I agree. With the gambling investigation, Michael, how bad does the value get affected for Emmanuel Clase? He has zero value right now. He's suspended, and likely if this investigation comes through with any evidence, which I'm sure they already have some, I'm sure they're just vetting it and trying to add more evidence to it, he likely will be suspended from the game indefinitely until end of life. And then after his passing, he'll be reinstated or at least be allowed back into the game, but posthumously at that point. Usually when it gets to this point as far as an investigation, things don't go well for the player. So Emmanuel Clase, he might have thrown his last pitch in Major League Baseball. You got to hope that they don't come up with any more evidence. You got to hope that the evidence that they do have turns out to be sketchy or not verifiable or not that bad to begin with if you're a Guardians fan, but otherwise, Clase's career is likely over. Astros are only a couple mil under the cap. True, that's why I don't think they'll be bringing in Suarez. Another reason why I don't think they'll be bringing in Suarez. I think they're going to be going very cheap here. Low-cost options, Laureano, pieces like that aren't going to cost you a whole lot. CY needs to release Jock Peterson tonight. Dan the Money kills the lineup. He certainly has been, early this season. This is only his second game back. He's only had, 6 at-bats so far, 7. I'm still going to be patient for maybe one more game, but this game tonight for the Rangers absolutely clarifies their need. You see Jacob Webb, he's a nice option in the bullpen for somebody that's a regular season team. He's probably a good 7th inning option for a lot of teams that are not in playoff contention. The Rangers have a really solid bullpen this year, but they need an elite closer at the back end of that bullpen, and his spot is going to come from Jacob Webb. As far as this lineup, they need somebody to hit in that top 5. They need a left-handed hitter to hit behind Adolis Garcia. I think Matt Olson would be kind of the perfect player in that spot, but somebody that kind of fills the shoes at first base or DH a whole lot better than Jock Peterson. That's really where it has to go if you're the Rangers. Class A's value is 0, absolutely. Verlis, welcome back. Appreciate you joining us once again. When do you expect the trading to pick up? Well, we've seen a few of the smaller deals. I'm still waiting for the big kahunas. I'm still waiting for the big trades to actually happen. Kenley Jansen is on. One more chance to impress against the Rangers. I think there's a good chance he becomes the closer of the Rangers' target if Bednar ultimately goes to Detroit or Boston. I think Detroit is really going to push for Bednar here at the deadline. 2-1 here to Seager. Former Dodgers teammates takes a strike down the middle. John Heyman tweeting out, ABS challenge system now, please. I'm sure for the Mets game. Or is that game over? I haven't checked the scores yet. Like I said, I was doing a little bit of first aid before we got on, so I apologize for the late hour of our start this evening. I think it'll be hot tomorrow, 2 days before the deadline. I agree with you. Was it the same type of thing that happened with Pete Rose when they caught him betting on his own team? No. Not quite like that. Seager grounds out to first. One away. It sounds like they were kind of, the first strike or ball of an inning is what they got Luis Ortiz for. No idea what the investigation has found out about Clase. More details, I'm sure, will emerge. Jock is cooked at this point. Just put Michael in there at DH. At least we know he won't be as frustrated for obvious reasons. Well, I wasn't a bad hitter, but I mean, these are major leaguers. I mean, if I made contact against their pitches, I'd be happy. I mean, not to mention it'd be a lifelong dream to be able to step into the box. That'd be fantastic. I was a bit of a two-way player when I played anyway, but weren't we all when we were kids? We all would pitch a little. We all would hit a little. Simeon pops out here, it looks like. Yep. 2 away, and it's already over. My stream is lagging behind here. Okay, let's go ahead and get into some of the trades here. Michael, the rumors keep heating up that they're getting more serious, and apparently Miami is going to trade Kyle Stowers. I don't want it to happen, but I have a bad feeling as a fan of Miami. I would love to see what the return would be that would make Miami trade Kyle Stowers, because to me, the only way you do it is you're getting absolutely blown out of the water for a deal. That's the only way I would do it. Now, there are trades that could be made to them that would blow them out of the water. I'm not sure that I would do the trade if I were, say, the Rangers looking for him as a hitter, or the Padres. You're already risking so much just with the pieces you're giving up, let alone what the return could be for what Stowers could bring you. Vida, what do you think of a trade for Doval and Tyler Rogers to the Rangers? Doval as a closer, the Rangers did have interest in him, I believe, 2 years ago. They did not have interest in him last year. I think the Rangers front office basically passed on him for whatever reason. I don't think they necessarily liked his makeup as much last year, and I don't think they're going to go after him this year. I just don't think Texas would do that. I think Doval more likely fits teams like probably Detroit, the Mets, the Blue Jays, teams like that. Yuck. Just watched the end of that game. Not pretty. All right, let me close that one down. Okay. Let's get into some trade talk, shall we? Let's head over to X first and just see what's actually happening here. Best relievers in baseball. Morejon looks really good. Yeesh. They're saying the umpiring against Soto has been terrible. 6-5 in that one. All right, let's update our standings now that the Rangers game has gone final. They're going to drop a half game back here. Did the Astros lose again? I didn't see what the outcome was. They lost to the Nationals at home? What is going on? The offensive issues they're having certainly are cropping up. Finnegan gets his 20th save. What are his numbers this year? 4.3, a 15.8 ERA in his last 7, an 8 ERA in his last 15, 5 in his last 30. Good Lord. And you're a closer. What the heck is going on? He's not going to go for a high price. Cardinals, beat up on the Marlins there, 7-1. Brewers take care of the Cubs, 8-4. Boyd taking the loss there. That's a little surprising. White Sox beat the Phillies. Ouch. Braves finally open up a can, 10-7. Beat Rich Hill. Oldest starter in Major League. Strider gets the win there. Almost all that run scoring came late, though. 6 runs for the Braves in the last 3 innings. 5 for the Royals. Hicks takes the loss. Blown save. 1-7, Jordan Hicks. Ouch. Well, maybe if Chapman does end up on the IL. I mean, Duran gave up a run in the ninth, it looks like. Very interesting. Yamamoto's in the rotation again. Looks like this Dodgers rotation is coming together. Snell is coming back soon as well. Burns takes the loss again. He needs to go back down to the minors. He's getting his feet wet at the majors, but you're in a playoff race trying to get a wild card spot. You don't need to bring Chase Burns up right now. I get he's got a lot of talent, but let's move on. The Rays beat the Yankees, so it looks like the Rangers got their wish tonight. Pretty much every team that they needed to lose tonight did lose. They're going to stay tied. It looks like at the bottom of the wild card standings with the Mariners, if the Mariners lose. Mariners right now are 3-1 winning against the A's. A's have 2 on, 2 out with Langoliers up and Brash coming in. Brash has been good, 1.04 ERA. Let's check in on this one real quick. Let's see what the price would be in prospects for the Royals. Stowers for blank and crying, giggles. I can look at that. They do need a big bat there, but I'm not sure they go that direction. I think their best option would have been trading for it at the deadline and selling some pieces, but instead it sounds like they're going to hold pat here at the deadline, and in the offseason they may visit the idea of Stowers. But I can go ahead and see what a trade would look like. Wow. He's going to fall behind 3-0 to Langoliers with Soderstrom on deck. He had a home run yesterday. Brash struggling here out of the pen. And a 4-pitch walk. Ouch. Okay. Let's catch up on a few of these comments and then get some trade talk here. Please see why I make a few moves to get rid of Jock and add some bullpen arms. We'll get into the Jock Peterson stuff. The one thing I really want to discuss, if you're a Rangers fan, is, with Jock Peterson coming back, you hope things would work out better. It's only been 2 games. So far, the returns are more of the same. You give him one more game probably before the trade deadline, so you give him tomorrow. I'm not saying one game should dictate whether or not he stays on your roster. Uh-oh. Looks like it's going to be a 1-pitch out here. Yep. Wah, wah, wah. Bases loaded, 2 outs, and grounds into a force. That sucks. All right, looks like the Mariners are going to win this one. Rangers are going to fall back about, I believe, a half a game or a game behind the Red Sox for the final wild card spot. All right. Let's go back to our scores here. The Pirates beating the Giants 6-4. Mets 5-6 against the Padres. Orioles beat the Blue Jays. That's a little bit surprising. Orioles coming on strong here recently. Rockies beat the Guardians with the bad news there. And Cade Smith, newly minted closer for the Guardians, gives up 4 runs in the 9th. Ouch. That sucks. Tigers win again. Looking like they're getting a little bit better now. 5-1 over the Dbacks. Those are kind of your scores from the day. All right, let's get into some trades. All right, let me scroll up and catch a few of these deals here. Trying to remember some of these deals that you sent me, so I apologize if I missed one or two. Doval and Tyler Rogers for the Rangers. I don't see that one really happening again. I don't think Rangers value Doval anymore, but I could see him going to the Tigers, like I said. Stowers to the Royals you were asking for, Dirk. I can do that one. Stowers to the Royals anyway. Marlins and Royals. My first Little League team was the Royals, actually. Way, way, way back when. back when I was about that tall. All right, to the Royals. You're looking 27 values. You're probably going to need 32 to 35 valuation here. I think you're going to have to go with Carter Jensen as your headliner. You could do Ricardo, but I think he's too young. Do they go with Gavin Cross? No, that's a little too cheap. Ricardo, no. Maybe they go for quantity here and do Cross. How close are you there? 23, so another 7-ish piece probably gets the deal done. You could go 2 catchers here. Do you have anybody else in that window? Not really. Kudner. I remember him. Get you a pitching piece and then a low-cost offensive piece lower down. Austin Charles, maybe. Javier Vaz. Let's do that one. He's a 23-year-old second baseman. Not much value, but a lottery ticket. Now, would I do this trade if I'm the Marlins? Probably not. I don't think I'm getting enough top-end talent. If I'm the Royals, I'd probably do that deal. A redundant piece in Carter Jensen, a couple of smaller level, decent prospects, and a lottery ticket for Kyle Stowers. I would do that deal in a heartbeat if I'm the Royals. I would not do it if I'm the Marlins. But that would be about the price, though. Tough to see a deal going there. Let's see here. Try to catch up on a few more of these comments and then do another trade. Astros are playing scrubs and AAA players. Past desperate. True. Astros always got to make it close. They do like to play the high wire act recently, I will say that. Michael, the asking price for Miami, for Cabrera from the Cubs, is either Owen Casey and Higgins or Alcantara and Higgins. Honestly, I would do both of those deals if I'm the Cubs. If I'm the Marlins, I'm holding out for another piece. Owen Casey's a nice piece. Wiggins is a really nice one as well, but I would want a third piece in that deal. I don't think either of those deals are just enough. Alcantara, I think, would be a nice option for the Marlins, but again, I still think they need more in either one of the trades, even though I value Casey as the primary piece, if I can get him. But we shall see. Good news, Ohtani didn't homer, but did go 2 for 3. Ohtani is really good. What's Jock's contract? Is it a buy low trade for the Royals? It's horrible. Jock Peterson's deal. In fact, let's go ahead and do the Rangers discussion now. So, the Rangers have a bit of a conundrum with Jock Peterson coming back. He's not been good this year. When I say not been good, he's hitting 122 right now. 122 on the season. He had a really bad stretch for about, 30 games or so. Had an 0 for 55, 0 for 57 streak. Not a very good start to the season for him. He also has a player option for next year for around $19 or $21 million. That's a massive amount to give Jock Peterson. He's got a little bit left on his salary this year. You look at the field value, I think they're being generous by giving him 7. But right now, every time he comes up in the order, and it was the same before he went on the IL, it's an out every single time. And when you're having him hit in the 5-hole, that means if Corey Seager gets on, you get a base hit from Marcus Semien, Adolis Garcia flies out to get him over to second and third. You bring up Jock Peterson with second and third with only 1 out, and he rolls over on it, and Seager doesn't get in. Or he pops out, or he strikes out. It's just what happens right now. So the question becomes, is there any possible way somebody would take that contract off your hands? I don't really think there is. The only way I think it could be a trade is if you found a team to give you an even worse deal. That actually gives you some production out of that spot. I don't really like I'm not a fan of this trade idea, but if you traded Jock Peterson to, say, the Minnesota Twins for Carlos Correa, that would be one way to offload Jock Peterson's horrible contract. And I do mean horrible. The signing this offseason, everybody expected with the great numbers that he had last year. There's no way he's accepting that player option next year. If he does, maybe it means he had an injury and you're still getting a good bat for the majority of the season. You're never really worried about the performance. Well, worry about their performance. He has not been good this year. So a team like Minnesota, if you did find a way to convince them to give you Carlos Correa in exchange for Jock Peterson, you take on the big long-term deal in Correa in exchange for Jock Peterson. You don't even have to pay any money down on it. You just say, hey, you take Jock Peterson, we'll take Carlos Correa. Correa probably starts for you at first or DH, and you roll with it from there. You need a right-handed bat anyway. That makes it a useful player. And now you have Josh Smith as your left-handed component, and you still have Jake Berger as well over there at first base to kind of figure out what you're going to do with the left-handed complement to Correa. So that'd be one way to get rid of him, and I think that's really the only way. I'm sure there's a few other players that kind of fit that negative asset piece, but that would be how I would try to get rid of him if I could. The most likely option here, though, for the Rangers is that they do what they did with Brad Miller during the 23 campaign when Brad Miller's career was basically over. At that point, he couldn't hit the fastball, couldn't hit the curveball. Defense had obviously passed him by. He was more for the clubhouse guys there, and so they put him on the IL. I think that's what ultimately will happen with Jock Peterson down the stretch here if he can't hit. They'll say, he had a reoccurrence of an injury, whatever the case may be. Pulled a hammy. He's going to be out the rest of the season, and then we'll see what he's like in spring training. That's the most likely route I see for Jock Peterson right now. Otherwise, it just doesn't look good for him being in the lineup right now, and that roster spot is a valuable spot right now for the Rangers with the roster crunch they're going to have in that bullpen and with a fourth and fifth outfielder as well. All right, let's try to catch up on a few of these comments as quick as I can. Fremer just tweeted in Spanish, saying, I love all my fans. I wonder if that means he's getting traded or extended. I would say neither. I'm sure he just enjoys his fans, but doesn't always necessarily mean a contract is coming one way or the other, or a trade is coming one way or the other. Mets Padres, good game. Yes, I should say he just tweeted it today. Yes, do the minors and click value. I think you're meaning that on the other deal. What's the job contract? We just did that one. Trying to catch up on these comments. I apologize if I miss them. My first team I was a part of was the Athletics, and our rivals were the Yankees and Cardinals. We ended up with the Cardinals in the championship. I remember those days. Braves were the team that I was most commonly on in Little League. I was on the Braves for like 3 straight years. Different versions of the Braves, because they were a different Little League team every year. Different level, different age group, all that kind of thing. But for some reason, I got drafted to the Braves all 3 years. That was pretty cool because I was a Braves fan back then because they were on TBS. By the way, put the Braves back on TBS, please. Thank you. This has been your public service announcement. Anyway, let's see here. I'd take that not trading Mitchell. Lots of Royals like Shields. Let's see here. No, I need people at the top of the system if I'm going to trade Kyle to Kansas City. That's kind of my thoughts as well, Anthony. I think that offer was decent, but I'm looking for a better trade if I'm trading Kyle Stowers. 2, 3, 4 prospects in a system, anything? Actually, 2, 3, 9. Anthony, yeah. It's not a bad deal. The value's there. I'm just saying that they would probably want a better return overall, specifically on the offensive side. Marvin, welcome in. Dave, appreciate you joining us for the first time. If you guys are new here, be sure to hit that like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll be live every single evening through the trade deadline around 9:45, and then on deadline day, we'll be live 8 a.m. through the deadline till about 7 in the evening. Be sure to join us for that one. My apologies for starting late tonight, though. I did have a little bit of a first aid emergency I had to take care of, but everything's fine. Just need to clean up, bandage, etc. But everything's fine. Let's see here. Are the Yankees planning any more moves like for starting pitching? I would say absolutely. I think their preference at the deadline before the Judge injury was rental or long-term piece, controllable asset. Now I don't think they're necessarily as willing to do a rental. I think they're looking for more controllable assets, which leads you to believe, Ryan, Cabrera, Keller, arms like that would be their preference here at the deadline. Dave, what flamethrowers are available the Jays could land? I still like Jarren Duran from the Minnesota Twins. Made a great trade with them yesterday in our first 10 minutes of our live from last night. I invite you guys to check that one out, where we sent Brock Stewart and Duran to the Jays for a few prospects. That trade actually looked like it was a pretty nice one. I invite you guys to check that one out. Anthony, which trade would you take if you're the Marlins? Kevin, Wiggins, or Ballesteros, or Casey, Wiggins, and Ballesteros? If I'm the Marlins, I would want Casey all day long. I just think that the Cubs would much rather give you Alcantara. The only question is, could you convince them to give you Casey and hold out until the very end and get the player that you ultimately want to target? Who would Marlins send, Anthony? That was Cabrera in that deal. Okay, we can do a trade, or Miami sends Kyle Stowers to the Rangers. I just don't see the fit right now for the Rangers without having to move on from Langford. Langford's swinging the bat a little bit better the last couple of games. Josh Young, by the way, much better at bats for the Rangers. I think that if the lineup were structured a little bit differently, if Corey Seager was hitting in the 3-hole instead of the 2-hole, I think Josh Young would probably be hitting in that 4 spot right now. He's hitting really well. Adolis is having some struggles recently, but having timely hits. But Bochy does like his veterans. Young certainly is really coming through, though, recently. He deserves a nice tip of the cap after having some struggles in May, June, early parts of July. He's come back to the majors and really helped out that Rangers offense, especially during that winning streak. Had a home run today. He's looking much better at the plate. Edward Cabrera is going to the Cubs. Let's see. Did we get an actual trade? Look at that defense from Williamson. That's what ended the threat there. That had 2-run single written all over it. Let's see here. Do Shane Bieber to the Red Sox. He could be a nice depth option for them. His value, I believe, is only like a 3. But we could do that one for you, Eli. Why the Hall? I don't see the value for him. And Pittsburgh pitcher Mitch. I think for controllable pitchers, that's where you're really getting the issue, though. I think controllable pitching is just the hardest thing to come by nowadays. That prices are already going to be high because of the trade deadline anyway and the lack of available players. But the controllable assets are going to be even more valuable. You're going to have to pay through the nose if you're wanting to get one of those guys this year because the top-end talent just isn't there. At this point, I would trade Jock for McDonald's gift card after all the football. Coming up, I could use a few McRibs and fries. With Class A situation, did Smith and Jack's price go too high for almost any team? Not for almost any team, no. I still think there's a good chance there's a lot of trades that are made at the back end of bullpens, even with the prices being sky high. Dave, with the Jays have enough chips to get Jax and Duran, they have just enough, and I mean just enough. No, Michael, I'm telling him that would be a trade for Edward if it goes through. Okay, that makes more sense. All right, let's get into some trades. I was trying to pay attention to too many comments at once. I got confused myself. My apologies, Anthony. All right, got about 50 people in the chat. How many likes we got on the video? Let's take a look. 25. Let's see if we can bump that number up a little bit here when we go, or while we go into one of the first trades of the evening. Bieber to the Sox, Eli asks for. Let's go ahead and do that one first. Eli, I think I've seen you in our chat once or twice, so I appreciate you joining us once again. I thought that might have been you. Followed me on Twitter. Appreciate you. All right, let's go over and let's see here. You said Red Sox, and you're wanting to send Bieber. Guardians could be a selling team now with Class A going down. Have they updated Class A's value? They have not. They dropped his value a hair, but they have not really solved his value on their site after the suspension. So you're saying Bieber to the Red Sox. Negative 2.6. Okay. Red Sox, how much money is he making? 7. So say the Guardians eat all 7 of this to get a fair deal. Not saying they would actually do this in real life, but just so you know what the value would be if they did. You're looking for around, what, 4.4? All of these pieces are a little too high. You could do probably, let's say you go 2 pieces here. Rodriguez and Anderson. Something like that could be a return for Shane Bieber. People forget Michael Edward Cabrera has 3 years of arbitration plus a club option for the Marlins. That's why his value is so high. Yeah, his value is pretty high, but he's also a number 2 in that rotation, a number 3, I think, on a World Series team. He is a very good pitcher. It's not just the contract; it's the controllable, high quality that you're getting. So kind of keep that in mind. Mark, welcome in. Appreciate you joining us once again. You have a good trade for you to look at. What do the Astros need to give the Twins for Castro, Clemens, and Jacks? Griffin Jacks? We can do that one as well. So the Astros and Twins. All right, Jacks is 25.7. His value's actually dropped a hair. Let's see, Clemens and Castro. Honestly, I have no idea how much value Clemens has. He's had his moments for the Twins this year. 8.3, that's surprising, but it's the control that you're getting there. And you say Castro, 3.1. Your value for all those guys, 37. You go to the Astros, what would you have to give up? Well, they need probably an outfielder right now. They would need a starting pitcher as well. I would say your first piece probably would be Jacob Melton. I think your second piece, maybe Brian King. Yannick, maybe. How valuable are you? You're 16.1. You're going to have to give somebody up in this window. Alvarez probably would have to go in this deal. You send the starting pitcher, Ryan Fucci. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, but let's see here. You probably need another 7 to 8 valuation here. So you throw in Yannick just to kind of round out the deal. They just DFA'd the catcher they got from the Dodgers, former number 1 prospect for them. I'm not sure which first baseman the Red Sox go after. Your thoughts? I would say that the Red Sox would probably go after Yandy Diaz more than any other option. Nathaniel Lowe's out there, but I don't think he has real value for any team that would bring him in. Can you please do this one, Castro, Wallner, and Varland, who's having an underrated Varland for who's having an underrated season? We can do that one here in a minute. But this trade that includes Jacks, I think would be pretty close. Dallas sports fan forever. Appreciate you joining us. Welcome in. Welcome in. What is the latest on the Rangers blockbuster? Silence. That's what this front office does. They don't move out in the open. They are just like Nico Harrison and the Mavericks. You just got to hope that it's not going to be trading away your star player like Nico, of course, but who, by the way, is going to be featured in the Men's Health edition. Is going to be a cover as well. The dude looks ripped. Let's just say he's on a mission to show the world, yes, but I think specifically Nico Harrison that he absolutely bleeped up, and he's going to make him pay for it as long as he's alive. Sorry, Mavs fans, it's going to be brutal every time he faces the Mavericks. It's going to be biblical what he does in those games. Valdez, let's see here. Let's go ahead and do your trade request there that you put in there, Heel. You're saying Castro, Wallner, and Varland. So Castro. Varland's having a really nice year. 4 years of control. That's impressive if you could get him. And the last piece you said was Wallner. Down year for them, selling low on a really nice piece, but he's still got 26 value. I think I'd rather have Griffin Jacks out of that deal. But Wallner would be an option for you in left, and with the Crawford boxes, might be nice, but he's a left-handed swinger. Not sure he would get too much benefit out of those Crawford boxes, but you'd have to give up more than you would for the other package that we just saw. You'd probably have to throw in one more really nice piece. Maybe a DeZenzo. Colton Gordon. DeZenzo makes a lot of sense here. But I think Ulola, who's pitching well, is a better option. So that would be your trade there, Heel. You don't want to see Yannick get traded? Well, you're going to have to give to get a little bit here. Michael, would it make sense in your honest opinion for a team like the Tigers to trade for a controllable starter like Cabrera? No. I think their best option is to get a closer and then add a utility player like Willie Castro. Mark, rest in peace, Ryan Sandberg. Yes, indeed, rest in peace. By all accounts, a great baseball player, Hall of Fame baseball player, but a world-class human being. Never heard a negative word against him. Wade Boggs was in tears discussing his friend the other day. He knew that the end was nigh for his friend, and unfortunately he had been battling a long battle with cancer, and I think he passed away at 62, I believe, was how old he was. Select Christian Javier, just to see what his value is. Negative 28. Wow. That's surprising. He's getting close to the big leagues, though. CY is one of the better GMs in all of sports. Remember, he's not a GM. He's a president of baseball ops now. Fenstermaker is the GM. I hope it doesn't happen, obviously, but do you think CY trading away DeGrom, Garcia, and Langford in one deal would be worse than trading Luka? No. None of those players are viewed in the same way Luka was when that deal was made. It would be horrific if they did that deal, don't get me wrong, but that Luka trade, I think, is one of a kind. I mean, Jason Kidd was trying to, save face for the franchise right after the deal was made and basically saying, hey, man, to be compared to the Babe Ruth trade, how about that? Yeah. I don't think Kidd understood that it wasn't necessarily meant as a positive thing. It wasn't like you were getting Babe Ruth in the deal. So that was pretty funny for a minute. And then Jason Kidd's been really good with the media, though, since he's basically been taking the brunt of the vitriol for the front office, since Nico Harrison won't speak to the fans or speak to publicly to pretty much anybody anymore. So he's done a really nice job for the Mavericks, taking the brunt of it. Don't want to keep talking Luka. I haven't recovered yet. Me neither. I don't think I'll ever recover from that one, honestly. I have a huge blanket, probably about the size of the green screen behind me. Green screen behind me is like, 10 foot long. Probably 7 foot high, retractable and so forth. I leave it up all the time because I'm on here so much making videos, but that Luka blanket, I thought I'd be able to get more use out of it, honestly, but I'm still going to use it anyway. Banana, welcome in. What is your thoughts on the Guardians now with Clase? Will they trade Quan and Bieber? I think there's going to be a nice market here for Quan. Cade Smith now is back into their bullpen. He had his issues closing down the 9th inning tonight. I wonder if he continues to have issues, if they move him back to the 8th inning and try somebody else in that 9th inning. But giving up 4 runs today, not exactly a good start there. But we shall see. Quan, though, I think would be a really nice asset for them to try to move on from now. Clase, I think his career is all but over if any of these allegations end up sticking to him. And, sad to see a player who's got $1 million contracts. We're talking, he's still making pretty good money, even though he's on a club-friendly deal. To give up that future, that contract, for whatever pittance he was getting from the gambling controversy he might be embroiled in, allegedly, of course, just not a smart baseball decision, not a smart human being decision, first and foremost. With Mavs getting Cooper Flag, I'm completely fine with Luka deal. It's clearly rigged. I wouldn't say rigged. I would say it was a stroke of luck that they won the draft lottery. I do not believe in ping pong balls conspiracy theories. Um, you know, could you convince me that there was something behind the scenes before you get to the ping pong balls? Maybe, but I mean it's vetted and protected by financial institutions to make sure the ping pong balls are handled properly, all that kind of thing. Integrity of the process. They try to keep it as transparent as they can. All right, what is Arrigetti's value? We can look at that one real quick. His value 22.4. 22.4. Trying to sell my Luka rookie jersey. Trying to sell Luka cards, but I'm keeping the jersey. Those Luka cards will be pretty valuable, my friend. I'd hold on to them a little longer. All right, let's get into some actual trades, though. I've talked a little bit of too much NBA, in my opinion. I want to talk some baseball. Hey, man, welcome in, Daniel. How's it going? Could we soon see a Sir Anthony Dominguez and Ramon Laureano to the Jays trade? Yeah, we can do that one. You asked what value do they see in Luis Robert? I can show you real quick. He's been playing a lot better. That's what it is. Up until recently, I was completely in your camp there, though. Banana, I just did not see the value either. But the defense has always been a good thing for him. The contract, performance on the field have always been the bigger issues, though, for me. This year, though, still hitting 205, but you look at his more recent numbers. His last 7 games, he's hitting 360. His last 15, he's hitting 313. His last 30 games, hitting 245. That's a little bit above league average now. You look at the power numbers combined, 6 homers in the last month. Starting to turn around for him, my friend. This went from MLB Deadline to the Luka Memorial video. Well, we've rehashed that one too much. Let's talk deadline, my friend. Deadline. All right, but your trade here. Dominguez and Ramon Laureano to the Jays. Cleared out. Uh-oh, I see tweets. What do we got? Nothing there. Mets tying it there. Uh-oh. Soto looks like he's going to give it up in the 9th, though. Robert could lead off for Texas versus the lefty starting pitcher. I don't make that trade, though, if I'm Texas. I still think he's going to end up with the Mets or Phillies. Somewhere in the NL East, he's going to go there. But Dominguez and Laureano? Dominguez to the Blue Jays. Laureano, I think he's got a year left as well. Trade value combined, about a 5. So the Jays wouldn't have to give up too much, but I think they would need starting pitching for first, second, and third in any return here. I would say probably Stefan would be your primary piece in this deal. I think that trade value is close, and then you give one more lower level piece. Probably on this page here. Say you do Perez, the starting pitcher. A little bit of an overpay, but that would be a decent option for your Blue Jays. People want Luis Robert because they know he can be really good, plus he probably does need a change of scenery. I would agree there on the change of scenery, but he's been playing a lot better recently. Mark, you think Texas gets O'Hearn and maybe Povich, stretch him out as a starter? Do you think the starter in 24 and then find him as a closer for another team? I would not do that for Texas. I don't really care for Povich too much. O'Hearn doesn't move the deal or doesn't move the needle for me. Like I said, I think Texas is looking to do something big here at the deadline. I think that's part of why we aren't seeing anything come down the pike yet. I mean, just small trades so far. Paddock, Jansen, Carrasco, Fetty, DFA type players, Dean Dunning. Nothing really impactful yet. Impactful to me is like a controllable asset moving or the best rental bat in Eugenio Suarez moving. I think we're going to see those deals coming sooner here rather than later. It's midnight now, heading into Tuesday. Hopefully, we get some overnight rumors, and we'll have some videos coming out for you guys tomorrow. Posted a couple videos today about the Chicago Cubs and their continued pursuit of Mackenzie Gore. I think that could be the first domino to fall now. I would look for that one probably in the early, mid-afternoon hours tomorrow. Rubber is so cheap the Rangers can rent him. Cheap, yes, as far as the cost to acquire him, but he does have a little bit of an expensive contract. So if you're looking to upgrade the bullpen, I think you'd have to get the White Sox to retain some of the salary in that type of deal. Anthony, Michael, how about the Tampa Bay gets Edward Cabrera and the Marlins get Hopkins, Carson Williams, and Isaac? Tampa's not doing that trade. They have too much starting pitching already. They're actually looking to sell here at the deadline, not buy. Rangers and Astros, I got a feeling, are in the middle of discussing a huge trade. I'll agree with you on the Rangers. Astros, I think if they're discussing a trade, it's going to be a middling type of trade, a low-impact trade. I think the best piece that they could probably acquire, though, like we were discussing last night, is Mason Miller. You think of what a bullpen would look like with Hader, Miller, and Abreu in your 7, 8, 9 roles. That would be just a lights-out bullpen. You shorten the game, allow those younger starting pitchers to not have to try to go so far, and just kind of roll it out and see what happens. I would like that bullpen quite a bit for the Houston Astros, though. That was the trade we just did. We'll be live for a little bit longer. I've got to work, unfortunately, open to close. I had 2 people call out today, a couple others left early, and I've already got a couple calling in tomorrow. So I've got to get some rest. I've got to make the videos in the morning with the fresh information that we're going to get in the morning. So I've got to get hitting the hay here pretty soon. So give me your ideas quick here before we head out. We'll have our live tomorrow evening. We'll go a little bit longer tomorrow night. We'll probably, since we started so late this evening, we'll probably start a little earlier around the beginning of the Rangers game if things work out accordingly. But really do appreciate you guys joining us. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Get your trade targets into this chat here, and we'll try to discuss a few more of them. Let's see here. I have a lot of feeling the Braves are going to sell a lot more than people think. I kind of lean that way with you, Banana. If you guys were in the chat with us yesterday, you guys might remember a certain rant I went on, kind of like the rant I've gone on about the Angels in years past, about how poorly the Angels were run around the Shohei Ohtani era, how poorly they made their decisions as an organization to not sell Shohei and rather buy at the deadline in Shohei's final year. I lit them from tip to tail, tore them a new one, and every bit of way I could. Absolutely deservedly so. I invite you guys to check that one out. It's been prolific. I discussed that quite a bit in the off season during our winter meetings, videos as well. You guys can check out that one too. But for the Braves, they have no starting pitching coming. They have no starting pitching on their roster. That's why they go out there and add Dunning, Fetty, and now Carlos Carrasco. They have nothing left because of injuries. Now next year, hopefully these guys come back. But even then, where's the depth? The only guy you're promoting and having any hope that he might be able to stay in the rotation is going to be J.R. Ritchie. And that's about it for probably another 2 to 3 years. So getting a controllable starter in there, offloading some money from some guys that, while they're good offensive pieces, ultimately have not resulted in a good offensive team. So maybe saving some money on the offensive side of things, allowing that money to be distributed into free agency to add a starting pitcher. And then you're talking about a really nice rotation. You'd started off with Spencer Strider. Your number 2 next year would be Chris Sale. He leaves in free agency after the year, I'd imagine, or goes into retirement at that point. Either way, money you'd have available to either bring him back or sign somebody else in the next offseason. But this year, you make the trade like we were posting on the video yesterday. You bring in a controllable starter like a Cabrera by moving on from guys like Riley or Olsen or whatever pieces you configure to kind of get that type of a return. And then you free up the money. If you trade an Olsen or a Sean Murphy, that could save you upwards of $40 million going into free agency this offseason. You could easily land yourself at least a really good number 2. And then you're talking about a rotation next year with Strider, Sale, and whoever you sign as that number 1 or number 2 starter that would fill in the Atlanta Braves number 3 slot. Then you have some really good young options coming to kind of continue to develop there in Atlanta. All right, Ethan, Bednar, Heaney, and Pham to Rangers. Pham I don't necessarily like. He has been a Rangers killer in the postseason, so maybe it's just about keeping him away. But I would choose to go a different direction for a fourth, fifth outfielder guy. Bednar, still my top target if I'm a Rangers fan. He's the guy I want. Swing and miss stuff, closer, all that kind of thing. Been great since he's come back. Heaney, he was really good in the start of the season for the Pirates, and the Rangers really like his stuff. He certainly had some struggles more recently, but I think he would still interest the Rangers as kind of a depth piece if they could. But I don't think they necessarily have the ability to bring him up right now or to bring him in right now because they have so many good arms and more on the way to try to squeeze these guys all in there. As far as Bednar, though, I think he would give the Rangers exactly what they need here at this deadline. We'll see if they can get that one across the finish line. Got about 50 of you guys with us right now. Got about 30 likes. Let's see if we can bump up those likes on there. Does it make sense, in your honest opinion, Michael, for the Cardinals to get Edward Cabrera? I think that would be a good option. They are looking for starting pitching. Maybe they could trade a Nootbaar or some controllable assets of their own to bring him in instead of some of their elite options that they have in the minor leagues. I think trading for their major league team would be the best case scenario for them, but I doubt they'd be able to come up with enough unless they're including a Brendan Donovan in that type of deal. And I don't think the Marlins would want Brendan Donovan. Maybe you reroute him to another team that needs offense and then sends those pieces on to the Marlins instead of sending them to the Cardinals there. All right. Thank you guys so much for talking some baseball with me. Sorry for the late start, but again, had to do some first aid. Hopefully we don't have to do it again tomorrow. My foot will be fine, though. Got it pretty good, crushed it pretty good. Anyway, had to cut it open. I had to wrap it up and so forth. So my apologies for the late start. We'll be back live tomorrow night around 9 o'clock. We're going to try to start a little bit early tomorrow. Normally we shoot for 9:45. I'm going to start a little early tomorrow around 9 o'clock, so be sure to join us. I was going to say, how about J.J. Weatherholt and Nootbaar for Cabrera? They're not trading Weatherholt for Cabrera. You want to see Cabrera to the Cardinals, though? I can do that one. I don't think I've done too many Cabrera to the Cardinals ones. Needs an update, though, anyway, because I don't think I've done it in a minute. All right, you're not trading any of these top pieces, but you could do Brendan Donovan, reroute him to another team. He has incredible value, but only 2 years left on his deal. Nootbaar, I think, is the one guy that they would like to move on from. I think Burleson would be a great piece, but that price is good. I think they'd rather, move on from one of these. I think they'd rather move on from Nootbaar instead. If they went the prospect route, Rodriguez probably would be your headliner. Padilla would probably be your number 2 piece in that deal. But I'm hearing multiple reports that they're looking for 20-plus guys now. They've changed the target for what they're going for right now. So they're looking for guys who can help out on their roster. Let's expand this to a 3-team deal because I think it'd be easier to kind of see how this would work. So the Marlins, they send Cabrera to the Cardinals. The third team that I think Brendan Donovan could go to would be like the Astros. That'd be one good option there. I think the Dodgers would be a nice fit. I think the Mariners, they really need offense. If they don't get Geno, maybe they circle around to bring in Brendan Donovan. So Donovan goes to the Mariners. Not sure he'd play second base there because they finally got a young guy up and producing at that spot. But maybe they could flex Donovan to the outfield. I think he's played outfield in the past, if I remember correctly. Victor Scott to go to the Rangers or Astros. I think he'd be a good option there as well. Merrill Kelly and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. package to Texas mock. Lourdes just does not play very good defense at all, and I think their outfield is pretty much set. So that means you're starting Gurriel at DH. I don't think that'd be a great fit, though. Kelly, I think, would be a nice option, but they already have enough starting pitching for a postseason series, in my opinion. But that would be your starting point for a trade. Since they have a lot of people playing in the infield, how about Emerson to the Marlins? Maybe. Let's go over to the Mariners. You're getting Brendan Donovan. What would you have to give up? Emerson is too valuable, untouchable. I think there's a good chance Montez would be untouchable. It'd be interesting, though. Cardinals could get 2 controllable starters if they did like a Logan Evans to the Cardinals. That makes that deal pretty darn worth it for them. Cardinals are satisfied with giving up Donovan for Cabrera and Evans. Then the Mariners' return for Donovan becomes not sure here. 28 they'd have to give up. Harry Ford is blocked. He goes to the Marlins. That would be a good option number 1. You're basically giving up Cabrera, so you need another probably 8. Mariners would easily give up 8 in this type of a situation here. Arroyo. There was a lot of rumors and a lot of articles today mentioning Arroyo and Ford as trade pieces here. Marlins, I think, would have to give up a little bit more. So a piece around 8. What could they give up? Alcantara? No. Myers in center? I don't think so. Maybe they take back Noble Mayer in the deal. It's not a bad option. You trade Cabrera, Mayer in exchange for Ford and Arroyo. Not bad. You take out Arroyo, you're still looking a little bit here. You're already getting a catcher in Ford. So I don't think they would do Mack or Ramirez. You could do Kova. Wait, do I got the wrong team? Yeah, I got the wrong team. Mariners, excuse me. You could do Bautista or Pete. That's pretty close there. If they went a little bit cheaper, they could do... Williamson would be a nice third baseman. You put Donovan over the third, you could do that. You see the 2-run home run by Osuna today? I did not. But remember, he's playing through a hip injury. Keep that in mind. Locklear doesn't really move the needle. Walter Ford gives you a pitching prospect. And then if you go to around 5 or 6, maybe you could get a more palatable trade. Maybe a Ty Pete at that point. That's pretty dang close. Take out Pete and go Bautista. Yeah, that's better. They're trading out 41 to bring in Brandon Donovan. I would do this all day long if I'm the Mariners. Cardinals, I definitely do that. You're getting 2 controllable starters for Brendan Donovan. If I'm the Marlins, I'm giving up Cabrera and nothing. And I'm getting a pretty nice return here. Honestly, you could probably even take out Walter Ford. But no, I'm not going to do that. I like that return. We'll see what people think on the site tomorrow. You think Merrill Kelly is going to the Yankees? I think Zach Gallen is the piece that's going to go there, but we shall see. You don't want Dustin May? Welcome in Aiden. Why do you say Emerson is touchable? Because he's blocked by Cole Young? He's untouchable because the Mariners have basically said they're not trading any of their top 100 guys. There's an argument to be had that they'll try to move those guys eventually. But right now, I think those guys are going to be staying there in Seattle because Dipoto does not like trading his top targets or his top his top prospects in trades. Let's see here. Passan and Rosenthal and Bowden liking Texas for Osuna. I mean, if you find a way to get rid of Jock Peterson's bat, it makes a lot more sense from a roster construction standpoint. If you don't, that's a tougher deal to see. He's way better than Jock. Well, I mean, the bar is what? Way down here for Jock. Average is up here. I would say Ozuna's somewhere in between that range. So, yes, he's better than Jock, but he's not even getting up here yet, though. So, improvement, but how much improvement, I guess, is the best way to put that. All right, appreciate you guys joining us. I have to get some rest here. Got to make some videos for you guys in the morning. We'll have a few coming out, and then I'll try to make some as the day goes along if we get some bigger trades today. I was trying to pay attention to the video or to the news that we had of the day, but unfortunately, the only bit that was actually bigger news was Emmanuel Clase. Hopefully today will be a little bit better in that regard. Now today anyway will be better in that regard, but we shall see. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. Hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you guys again tomorrow around 9 o'clock. Again, an earlier start tomorrow to kind of make up for tonight. With so many of you guys wanting some trade deadline coverage, we want to make sure we give you as much as you can possibly want. So if you guys want to get any and all information, stay up to date on all the latest information, be sure to hit that like and subscribe. And we'll see you guys again tomorrow evening. Stay safe out there, everybody.